Welcome to Untamed Blossoms, the podcast where we celebrate the untamed journey of womanhood. Here, we tell the stories of incredible women who have embraced their authenticity, inspiring others to do the same.
From entrepreneurs to artists, activists to adventurers, we share triumphs, challenges, and the beauty of self-discovery. These are the stories of women blazing their own trails, breaking free, and blooming unapologetically.
Join us to connect, be inspired, and celebrate the power of women's stories. Together, let's rewrite the rules and embrace our wildness.
Welcome to Untamed Blossoms. I'm your host, Amanda Riley.
And I'm Christy Riley. Welcome to the show.
And welcome to Aquarius season. I love Aquarius season.
Tell everybody what that means to you.
For me, it's just more about being innovative and playful. And I do love that water is a big part of Aquarius. And I feel like it's a good, cleansing, starting new, that type of thing. So I don't know. I just think it's a good shift out of Capricorn.
Whew, Capricorn season, the end of it was rough.
Capricorn season I do love because I feel like I get a lot done. That one day I woke up at 8:30. I was like, hey, here are the things I got done. And at 8:30 p.m. I was like, and it's a wrap for today. And it was 12 hours of grind. So I feel like I got a lot accomplished this Capricorn season. Made some big decisions Capricorn season.
Yes.
Really put a lot forward. And we've gotten so much accomplished.
So much.
We're on iHeart now.
Apple,
Spotify, and then YouTube. All of that.
Big deal.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Me too.
I'm proud of us. I'm excited for 2025. Our schedule is packed.
Yep.
And we really are just reaching out to anybody who we resonate with their story and asking them to be on to tell their story. And I think it's going to be really impactful. I'm excited for it. I do feel like Aquarius season, the energy has shifted for me in my personal life. I feel that.
Yeah.
Deep breath. It's like a deep breath, and things are starting to move in a direction that we needed to move in a bunch of different ways in my life. So I do feel that renewed energy of Aquarius coming in and getting things moving.
Yeah.
That I felt like we were not moving before in a bunch of different ways. So I do feel a lot of new stuff for both of us.
Totally.
I mean, we are starting a lot of new things.
Yeah.
And feel really anchored in those things. And I'm excited to see how that plays out and let us just be in flow and continue to be in service to what we're doing and let it show up.
And we have all the planets are in the middle of aligning right now. So that's also going to be, I think, really powerful.
Yeah.
So
did you see it out the other night? All the planets lined up. Did you go outside and see it?
I went to NASA's website.
I walked outside. It was really cool. And I was like, wow. And they were just perfectly in line. And there was no confusing what it was. You could absolutely tell that those were all planets and lined up. And it was really cool.
It's going to be for a few more weeks too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah. You can still see it outside. It looks great. It looks really cool.
To be honest, it is too cold.
I knew you could say
for me to be outside. I don't know why I'm being such a little biggity bitch about it, but I don't want to be cold like that. Right. It's so cold.
Yeah, and it's single digits. And it's going to be that way. The good news is it's going to be 40 by the weekend. So
yeah, that's true.
There's some reprieve coming, but
yeah,
it is January in Ohio. So,
Christy, I don't care. I don't care. I don't like it. We leave for Florida February 5th, I think, that first Wednesday. And when I tell you, I have been stalking the weather.
Right.
Stalking it.
And this vortex is not affecting it too much?
Sure it is. This week. Guess what?
Not next.
Or the week after. Because we leave. That's what's hard is I always want to know and it's always too soon to know.
Right.
But they do show you what it's supposed to be. And it just keeps looking nicer and nicer. 70s the whole time and sunny. And if I even get 3 days of sunshine and 70, I'll be a whole new person.
Yeah.
You won't even recognize me when I come
my
back.
husband and I almost always go to Mexico in January.
Yeah.
We didn't this year for a whole bunch of reasons, but feeling it.
Yeah.
Because the sunshine just injects all new energy into both of us. And we realized that, like, being in Ohio and being in dreary, cloud covered weather for, November, December, most of October, we're ready for some sunshine by the time January rolls around. And it's the only sort of thing that typically gets us through to springtime.
Yeah.
Because we love to be outside so much. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. We didn't get to go. I'm so jealous that you're going. I wish that I could say that we're heading.
You might be.
You never know.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about my husband is he's very spontaneous. And if all the things that we're working on currently that's keeping us from going pans out, it wouldn't surprise me if he was just like, we're on a plane, let's go.
I love that.
So yeah, I do love that about him. And I love the spontaneity. The Sag in me is like, where are we going?
Let's do it.
Let's roll. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But.
Well, speaking of sunshine, I grew up at a time where you put sunscreen on maybe sometimes, but it wasn't really something that people told you to do. So skin cancer ran in my family.
Yeah.
Like my great aunt Pat still gets skin spots removed.
Yeah.
So I really should have been way more diligent about putting, but I never did. Until like, I think it was like maybe 5 years ago now, I had a little spot on my leg and I was so freaked out. I wouldn't go to the dermatologist. I was just like, everyone in my family has cancer. This is how I'm getting it. I know
this is how I'm going out.
This is how I'm going down. So I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. And finally I went literally crying in my car beforehand. He was like, no, it's just a little, sometimes women get it from shaving. Like it's not a big deal. And I let myself think I was dying for a whole year prior to going.
Oh my God.
Because I'm a monster. So I am excited to talk to our guest today. Brittany from the Happy Naked Co. She owns her own spray tanning company.
Yeah.
And so I have had a lot of experience with spray tanning as I've gotten older, and that incident scared me, and doing weightlifting competitions.
Right.
Spray tanning is a great way to get a nice glow without having to worry about UV rays and that kind of damage. Because I also went to the tanning bed a lot in college. And
as we all did back in that day.
Yikes, big yikes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm excited to talk to her too. I've never had a spray tan.
Yeah.
And so I'll be excited to talk to her, and see what that's all about.
Totally. Welcome to the pod, Brittany.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for bearing this frigid weather to make it here.
Not only that, but coming with the pants on fire, girl. Those are sick.
Yeah. And matching our Untanned Blossom stuff.
How did she even know?
I actually seen it online. I was like,
I love that your studio is pink and black. That was like my favorite combo together.
Yes. I have a pink neon sign.
Yeah.
Actually kind of highlighted my logo that I switched to. Everyone loved it. It became kind of the thing for my business that everyone took pictures with.
I love it.
I love it.
It's on your shirt. It's like a back side
of
the lady.
Yep.
So pretty. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us where you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up on actually the west side of Columbus, like Georgia Grove City area. We lived there until, I would say about 4 years ago. I have 2 kids, married. The schools were just going kind of downhill from there, I feel like. So we started looking for a house. We moved up north 2 years ago. It's been wonderful, great schools. It's like the suburbs, but still close to everything, but almost like the country feel. So I really enjoyed up there. Nice. Some land, which is amazing. Get out of the city a little bit. When I graduated high school, everyone pressured me to become a nurse. Did not really want to become a nurse, but I did it. I didn't do it. But
like your family?
Yes.
Family members.
So I started school as a medical assistant at Fortis College. I graduated with my degree for that. Did not enjoy it at all. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up quitting doing that. I worked a little bit doing medical assisting. I quit. I worked for a chiropractor's office for a few years doing like medical billing and coding type things. And then I had my daughter. So I ended up being a stay-at-home mom for a few years, quit working in general. And then I went back to work for an electrical company. I worked with some family there. My husband's mom and aunt and everyone had been there for like 25 years.
Wow.
So I worked there for about 5 years. And it just became more of like the corporate,
Yeah.
He said, she said, just, it was mentally draining at that point. I loved the job, but it just got too tiring. So I found a girl, on a side note, that was doing my spray tans. So I hadn't really had a spray tan before. It was just something I was looking into. And she was phenomenal. And she ended up moving to Florida. Oh. So she did my spray tans for like 6 months, 7 months. She ended up moving to Florida and taking her business with her. So I was heartbroken. And I was like, no, like, why? Of all the people. So I tried every other place. Just wasn't thrilled with it, the way that they did it, the solution, different things. So I have a hot tub, and it's kind of like where me and my husband talk without the kids.
Right.
About life, whatever.
Or adult space.
Yeah. So I'd had a long day at work. I came home, and I was like complaining to him about my bad spray tans, I don't know, like he cares. But he was like, why can't you own a spray tanning company? It's something that I had talked about doing when I was younger, when, everyone was orange and we thought it looked great and did it. But it was something that I thought about doing when I was younger. I listened to everyone else and kind of went a different path because, everyone's like, there's no money in it, or it's not going to be very successful, or whatever. So I ended up doing, the assistant and stuff. And then my husband's like, why can't you do what she did ultimately? Right. Like, why can't you provide that service that makes you feel so good for everyone else? And so I was like, I might do that. He's like, you listen to what everyone else wanted you to do, and it's not what you wanted to do. Like, maybe now's your time to do it. And so I was like really nervous about it, and, quitting a full-time job that's paying my bills. Now I'm unsure of like what the future is going to bring. I have 2 girls at home that we're providing for. And so I had reached out. Her name is Brittany too. The one that did my spray tans that had moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. And so I had sent her a message. I pondered on it for a while. And, in the beauty industry, like I was saying, everyone is cutthroat. So no one wants to help a lot of the other people. So I was kind of nervous, and I sent her a message and was just like, hey, it's something I was thinking about. Like, I absolutely love the way that you did your whole process, your spray tanning, the solution. If I decided to start it as a career, is there any way you could guide me or give me, tips or whatever on how you got started ultimately? Right. She was phenomenal. So she was like, yes. She actually had a backstory of her aunt was one of her best friends, and she had died of skin cancer from laying in tanning beds. Yeah. And so she formulated her own formula, which I didn't know at the time. It's all plant-based. And so she uses that. And so she flew out from Florida, and she trained me on everything. That I do teeth whitening as well. Mm-hmm. So she's trained me on the spray tanning, the teeth whitening. We spent a whole weekend just kind of going over everything. And I actually use her formula too. Mm-hmm. So nice. Yeah, it's been a great journey.
Every woman that we talk to is like, when I was growing up, I knew what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of let society or family or just like insecurities kind of guide us in a different direction. Yes. So when you were young, when you were little, like you said that I'm sure a spray tan wasn't the exact thing, but you probably knew you had a certain calling. Can you talk to us about that? Like, what did you want to do before all this happened?
Yeah, it was spray tanning, and I just wanted to empower other women because me, when I got my hair done or a spray tan or I just felt so good about myself, and it wasn't for anyone else. I hate when people are like, oh, you're just doing it to impress someone. Yeah. Half the things I do, my husband could care less about. He doesn't care about hair. He doesn't care about lashes, anything like that. But it just made me feel good as a person. So I actually had looked into going to cosmetology to do kind of that field, maybe an esthetician, facials, lashes, things like that. And then I ultimately went a different direction.
Yeah. It's just always so interesting that we hear that so often. It's like your gut's telling you what you know will fulfill you.
Mm-hmm. And this may be a personal question that you can choose whether to answer or not, but was there financial instability in your childhood where not a lot of money was made by people? Or were you guys pretty middle class, well off?
I would say we were okay.
Yeah.
My mom never worked growing up. She was a stay-at-home mom. My dad, carried all the financials. I would say we never really went without, I guess, but it was more on credit cards. It was maybe not they had the money for it, but kind of made it happen type thing.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if I heard this message, right? Is nursing. I was also a nurse for 27 years. It's good money.
Yes.
You're financially secure if you do this, right? You heard the same messaging is it's financially secure for you if you go into corporate America and go up the ladder. I just think that's it. I just wonder, we have a very similar back history as far as what kind of background we had financially in the family. I just wondered if there was any sort of I hear that a lot about nursing. You always have a job.
They'll always need nurses.
Right. Yes.
I'm sure you heard this. You always have a job and you always get paid well.
Yes.
And then once you go into the nursing field, you realize they're not getting paid nearly enough for what they do. But those things are sort of true, know? But I mean, it's an interesting, I just wonder.
It definitely affected it because my mom was a money person. She wanted everyone to visually look at the aspects of we're well put together, even if we weren't, you know what I mean? Clothing wise, dressing better, different things. Even if you financially couldn't afford it, it was, we're doing great, even if we're not. So money definitely was an aspect of things.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're younger, ultimately you think ooh, yeah, money, it sounds great. But I've been in higher paying jobs and I've done different things. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. It's exhausting. It's if you don't wake up and you're happy to go to work, it's awful. And now I love waking up. I get excited. I'm like, ooh, I get to see people catch up. I haven't seen in a while. And now I know when everyone leaves, they're just so satisfied and happy. And that's such a fulfilling thing,
Yeah. Right. I am currently working with Angelina. So that's how I found you. Okay. And she mentioned she went to you for spray tans because I was like, man, you look so good.
Aww.
And I've gotten spray tans before that were not awesome.
Yes.
I get spray tans a lot for after lifting competition photos before and afters. And she was like, I go to the best person. And, of course, her story, which we were going to have her on soon to tell her about her story and her background with skin and the dangers of the sun. And I just think it's so important that obviously you want people to look beautiful and all these things, but a lot of people have skin cancer in their family. Yes. A lot of people shouldn't be out in the sun, and you provide this confidence boosting thing for people who otherwise maybe feel insecure about that. So it's such it's more than it fills that same need of wanting to help people, right? Yes. It's not just, a spray tan. It's it really can change people's outlook on themselves.
It does a lot. It helps. I feel almost mask some of the insecurities that women might feel about themselves.
Yeah, totally.
I started getting spray tans originally because after I had kids, I got cellulite on my legs really bad. And I feel no matter what I did, what creams I used, whatever, it was just something that bothered me ultimately about myself.
Yeah.
And I started getting spray tans because it kind of masks all of that. And then I just felt great, being able to wear shorts. Now I don't really care. But, then it was just something that bothered me. So I started getting spray tans to kind of hide that imperfection. So I felt more comfortable being in a bikini or wearing shorts or different things.
Yeah. Right. Totally. Love that. And you mentioned that you had went into corporate for a little bit of time. Can you tell us about your time doing that and what lessons you kind of learned about how you wanted to be, especially as a business owner now? Was there something that you carried from that time? Good or bad?
Not to be an asshole. It was challenging being in the corporate world.
Yeah.
I did a lot of billing management when I was there. I actually had quit over a boss that I worked with there. That was my goal because I loved it there. I did love the job that I did at the time. But there was a boss there that was just awful. He was mean to people, crappy all the time, in a crappy mood. It didn't matter what you did. And I'm like, I want to step away from this. Just being in a negative situation all the time is just mentally draining.
And I never sucks the energy right out of you.
It does. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I can't not feel fulfilled every day. This isn't filling my cup. I need something that fills that for me. And just being in the corporate world was not it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps even if you don't stay there. It helps you kind of realize what kind of boss you want to be. and what kind of business you want to run, because you're like, okay, maybe this wasn't a great experience, but now I know what I definitely don't want to do.
Oh, for sure. Even in the training aspect of things. So I have one employee. She's my cousin. So it's amazing. She works for me a couple days a week at the salon. And even when I was training her, I was always so positive. People are meant to screw up. That's how you learn. And I am a visual learner. Everyone learns different. I want to be hands-on, even making mistakes. I'm like, let's just correct it. We can figure it out. Life goes on. And, just being that positive person, I guess, for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about you and your husband when you met and then when you decided to start a family?
Yeah, so we actually met 17 years ago at a house party. I had broke up with my ex-boyfriend and called one of my best friends at the time. I called him and was like, I'm heartbroken. I need you to take me somewhere. Get me out of the house. And he took me to a house party at the time, who was one of his best friends.
Okay.
We were just kind of hanging out and we hit it off. I think within a couple days we had seen each other again. He asked me if I'd be his girlfriend. Aww. And I was like, I don't even know this guy, but we'll see what happens, I guess. And so I said yes. And we had been dating maybe about a month at the time, and my parents were very strict on me. Like, they didn't want me to do anything ever. I actually got my driver's license when I was dating my husband over the age of 18. Okay. It took me to get my driver's license. So I called my parents and was like, can I stay the night with him? He'd work second shift. He didn't get off till midnight. I would have to be home by 2 a.m. and whatever. So I was like, can I just stay the night with him tonight and hang out? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm 18. I'm 18. What does it matter? And they're like, no, you don't need to stay the night. I'm like, he literally has his own apartment. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen, whether it's daytime or nighttime. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And so we went back and forth, and she's like, well, ask your dad. So she put my dad on the phone, and I asked him, and he said no. And I said, well, what happens if I just stay anyways? And he said, I can pack my stuff and I can move in with it. And so I got off the phone, and I was like, I told my husband, I was like, I need you to take me home. Like, I can't stay the night, whatever. And he's like, no, just stay the night. And I was like, no, like, I'm serious. Like,
they're going to kick me out.
Yeah. And he was like, no, like, just stay the night. And so I did. I stayed the night. My parents were not happy. My dad packed my stuff up for me.
Oh gosh.
I went and picked it up, and we had a very rocky relationship for a couple of years because he was not very thrilled with it. But yeah, so I moved in with my husband.
Yeah.
Boyfriend, I guess, at the time. And we just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
Our first daughter.
He knew.
I know.
Yeah. He was ready.
He was like, within a couple of days, like, I need you to be my girlfriend, and now you're moving in.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
It was crazy, because even if I hear people now, it's like, oh, well, people say I'm rushing it. I'm like, you know what? I used to have that same mindset, but then after that, I'm like, if you know, you know. And if it doesn't work, I guess it doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
So we had been together for a while, and I actually had missed a birth control pill. Got pregnant with my first daughter. It's when the swine flu was going around.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually thought that I was dying of the swine flu.
Turns out you were just pregnant.
Turns out I was pregnant. So we found that out, kind of abruptly. And it was great, though, because I feel like...
Was it one of those ER moments where you went and they come back in and they're like, you don't have the flu, but...
No!
You do have a baby.
It wasn't, but my mom, my husband, had went out of town, and I was, like, vomiting, super sick. So she came over and was just hanging out with me, and she was like, are you sure you're not pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm on my period. Like, there's no way. And then I just kept thinking about it after a while because I didn't get any better after like a few days. And I was like, let me just buy one and see. And so I went to like the dollar store and bought one, and it showed up positive. And I was like, maybe it's because it's from the dollar store. So I bought like 3 different brands, and they all came up positive. So I was like,
glowing. You're like,
what a surprise. But it was a blessing in disguise because, we were young, we were stupid, we were flawed, fought a lot, just kind of going through all the life phases, I guess, of growing up.
Yeah.
And I feel like God put her in our life to make us grow up, and kind of grow up together. So she was a blessing for us.
Nice.
Made us grow up quick. But
yeah. How old were you at that point?
I had her when I was 21.
21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys had gotten married at that point, or were still?
We waited for a while.
We waited for
We waited, I think, about 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure. You know, to me, it was a piece of paper too.
Yeah.
Like we had been together.
Yeah.
We were great, and our relationship.
Yeah. And when you're like 21, and you're in that situation too, it's like there's such a Midwestern mentality we have here of like the order of operations of like growing up and growing into things.
I did that.
It's wild that we do that, you know? Like, I remember watching Sex in the City for the first time, and I was like, wait, these women are in their 30s and they're still dating. Like, they're not doing this weird Midwestern thing where we feel like we immediately have to.
Yeah. Be married at 23.
Yeah. Like, I'm just like, this is what it should be. Like, you should have the time and space to figure it out.
Yes. Yeah, because they expect you to go to college and then get married and then have it, like, everything's, you know.
Totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at what point did you decide, okay, I'm done with this corporate job? And I know that you said that you talked to the girl that did your spray tans prior, but what made you really take that leap of like, I'm going to do this business?
I would go to work and sit in the parking lot and feel sick almost to go in, just because I didn't want to deal with the drama. I didn't want to deal with shitty bosses, different things. And I hated that gut feeling. And I'm like, I'm so unhappy. And it even took me a while because we had got the boss that I was talking about was kind of like a bigger boss over a lot of people. My direct boss, I loved her. She was amazing. And so I was quitting with her ultimately in my head. And it took me weeks to finally tell them, because I did a lot of work for the company. So I wanted to give them, you know, a good heads up. Like, this is what I'm planning, so you can replace me. I gave them like 2 months before I was planning on leaving, because I knew what I was going to do. And my husband had to keep telling me, he's like, have you told work yet? And I was like, no. And he's like, you have to tell her. I'm like, I know, but I don't want her to be upset with me, and I just don't want to do it. And he's like, you just got to do it. And so I finally went in and sat down, and she's one of my clients, and
nice.
She's amazing, and she's very supportive, obviously, of the decision. But I finally just got so tired of just that gut feeling of just not being happy.
Yeah. That, what do you call it? The Sunday
scaries.
The Sunday scaries, where the work day's coming on Monday, and you're like, oh. Like that's just, what you're talking about is burnout. It's the classic burnout of just not wanting to deal with it anymore. And you're just out of alignment. This is not meant for me.
Yes.
It's meant for something different.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is crazy, because when I started the job, I was like, this is where I want to be forever. You know?
Yeah.
This is what
I'll
I feel
retire
like
from here.
Yeah. And I had that mindset. And then eventually I was just like, this isn't it. Like, this just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, because if my husband wouldn't have pushed me to do it, I might have still been there. Unhappy. And he was like, no, you can't be unhappy. And I was like, I know, but we had, a lot of discussions, and I'm like, it's scary because we don't know financially where we'll be. You know, I'm starting with nothing. I didn't have clientele build up. I didn't have anything to stand on.
Yeah.
I was just going full force with.
This was a big jump off a big cliff.
It was. And it was like, you just have to do it. He's like, I'd rather you do it and show our kids that you were willing to take that risk. And even if you fail, at least you did it and failed, and and you tried. Because he's like, I don't want you to look back 30 years from now and be stuck at the same job that you're at, and you're so unhappy, and then you're mad that you didn't try it at least.
Right.
So what did that first year look like?
Yeah, tell us about the planning. I want to go back further than that. Like, how did you just make all the planning to make the jump? And did you decide you're going to do it at home, get a space? Like, just walk us through that whole process of how you came up with what to do next.
Yeah, so
from the hot tub discussion.
I know. I still have my hot tub. We have all of our discussions in there. I'll sit in there one day, and they're like, I have something to tell you. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it today. But yeah, so when I reached out to Brittany, she said that she would fly in and train me on everything. And then I kind of went back and forth on, should I keep my job that I have now and then just spray tan people at their house, just kind of pop in and do it, because I had a pop-up tent that I can do it at spaces too.
I love this.
And so originally that was my goal. And then my husband's like, if you're going to do it, just quit your job and go full force and just go all in on it. Because if you do that, he felt like I would just get too burnt out with working a 9 to 5. And then, I always put in extra hours. And then now you have to drive to someone's house. Who knows what side of town that's going to be on or different things. And then you're getting home at 9, 10 o'clock. You're not seeing your family. You're stressed out. You're tired. And he was like, I'd rather you just put all of that work and effort into building your brand instead of focusing on that. So we had sold our house when the market skyrocketed. So we profited some money from that. We moved in with our in-laws for a little while, and they were amazing to us. And that's when I decided to kind of do everything is when we lived there. So we had a little bit of extra money. Yeah. We had, money that we profited from selling our house to put into it. And so
the perfect storm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I quit my full-time job. I ended up just quitting that. I found a space off of Sawmill. I like Flanagan's area. It was just a little single room. And I ordered all the stuff online, got it all put together. And within like 2 months, I was officially open. And I started taking clients there. I kind of built my clientele, little by little. The first year definitely is a struggle.
Yeah. Right.
Especially when you don't have a clientele. Like I didn't have anyone. I had one person who I had spray tanned in my training session with Brittany. It was a client. That was it. That was the only person that I had. And she's still with me to this day.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
So it was hard building that clientele and the financials of it because you never know week by week who's coming in, how many clients you're going to get.
What was your startup cost?
I would say from the beginning, kind of getting everything together, we roughly spent about $40,000.
And that was including your lease on your space and renovating your space.
Yes.
Yeah. So total in your initial investment was $40,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
With all the equipment, I paid her to obviously come out and train me.
Right.
I do teeth whitening too, so all the equipment for that.
Right.
And then now I need all the equipment for my room, the chair for the teeth whitening, just everything in general. You know, that first ultimate cost is a lot. And then it's scary too, because I'm like, I'm spending all this money and like, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get this back.
Right.
That could be fun things to do. I could take my kids on so many vacations with this money instead.
Right.
So it's definitely a financial, like, I wouldn't say burden, but
it was stressful.
It was. It was stressful. Very stressful. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I still go through that phase now of like, when I have rough weeks or different things, because it's exhausting some weeks.
Yeah.
And some weeks I'm busy and some weeks I'm not.
Right.
But just even looking back, I'm like, I would have rather done that. And my kids see that aspect of things now. Like, oh, mom's trying. She owns her own business. And they get so excited over it. Both of my kids know how to spray tan.
That's
I'm
awesome.
14 and my youngest is 8.
Yeah.
And they both love it.
Right.
And, they just seeing them light up when they tell people like, oh, my mom owns a business and she does this. And like, hopefully one day my goal is to get, busy enough to hire more people to be there. Yeah. And then I still want to be very involved with it because I'm very particular of how my spray tanning process goes for people. And I feel like that's kind of what sets us apart from other spray tanning companies.
Can you talk about that? Like what your process is? Of course, you have to leak all the intel, but I've been to, I don't know, maybe 5 different spray tanning places and they all do it a little differently.
Yeah.
So
our solution is plant-based. So it has more of a brown undertone. We use a more expensive solution compared to most places. So the brown undertone works well with all skin types and all skin tones. So even if you're darker skinned, you can get it and it'll kind of highlight, cover up all the imperfections or like flaws. It helps with acne. Hyaluronic acid is built into it as well. So it's super hydrating for your skin. Depends on color. So if you go like light to medium, it lasts your 5 to 7 days. Medium to dark is the 7 to 10 days. It just depends on ultimately the products you use and how well you take care of it too, which I go over with everyone in detail. I have little cards to send home too and my phone number if there's anything they need. I'm always open for people to reach out, text, anything too. But when I'm spray tanning, we're definitely very detailed. So getting all the spots that bother you, in your fingers. I always, have them bend fingers. We get in the creases so that you don't have the little white lines in there, the harsh lines on the side. I use a blending brush. So it helps blend all of the imperfections too. So you don't have like weird lines across your wrist or your ankles or your toes. And, for people who maybe have like wrinkles in their knees, getting those areas, things that you don't typically think about when you're getting it. And then we also do like a setting powder at the end, which I know some people do and some don't. But we use, I feel like the best powder also. And you don't feel sticky at all when we're finished. So I put a lot of powder on, but I like it because no one wants to feel that wet and sticky.
Right.
And it doesn't have that spray tan smell either with it being plant-based. So it's very natural smelling. Like people will even comment on it like, man, this doesn't even smell like I got a spray tan.
Yeah.
And then we also offer a clear solution. So for people who have maybe skin conditions, eczema, sunspots, heavy freckles, things like that, it doesn't have bronzer in it. So when you get sprayed, it just looks like water. And then your tan will gradually develop over so many hours, like depending on, how dark you want and stuff too. But after about 2 hours, your color will start coming in. Yeah. And then you don't have that bronzer that sits heavy in those spots.
Yeah.
So when people have dry spots or skin spots and things like that, the bronzer kind of gravitates to those and makes them look darker. Yeah. And a lot of people dislike that. Yeah. And they even have a lot of nurses who like the clear because they'll pop in on break or lunch, get the clear, and then they go back and they don't look. No one even knows that they went and got spray tan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's really cool. I had no idea that was even a thing.
That's like the worst part is like when you have like a dry area on your skin somewhere and then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? And you're like, oh my gosh.
And those are the things I look for too.
Yeah.
Like just in general, when people come in, even if they don't mention it to me, as soon as they take their clothes off, I'm looking for those things because if they don't want the clear and they get the bronzer, because some people prefer that. They like that instant, like I look like I have a spray tan. I do too. But if I see the dry spots, I'm going to put some extra lotion there. So that way it doesn't gravitate to that area as much. Just different things that are more detailed. And I always want everyone to feel 100% comfortable when they're in there. Because I've been to places that I just felt very judged or, uncomfortable, I guess, with getting spray tan. Because you're in a very vulnerable spot. Yeah, you're getting naked in front of someone you don't know.
Right.
So I always make sure that people feel 100% confident. And I always tell anybody that's new and they're like, well, what do most people do? I'm like, you do what's comfortable for you. If you're comfortable wearing a t-shirt and shorts, I'll spray you in that. If you want to get 100% naked, I'll spray you like that too. It's whatever you're confident doing for the results,
Yeah.
I think that's the most important part is going to someone that you trust to not judge you.
Yes.
Because it is wildly vulnerable, you know what I mean? And especially if you're uncomfortable with your body or you're going through a transition with your body, whether you lost weight or gained weight, it just is one of those things that you're thinking the whole time, what is this person thinking about me and my body? And so, like, I think that's wonderful that you prioritize making people feel comfortable because there's definitely places, so I'm going to put my business out on my podcast here, but there's some places where I definitely just wore a bra and underwear because I just thought, like, this person's just not making me feel, and they didn't say anything, but there's just that vibe.
Yes.
And there's some people I was like, yep, naked.
Yeah.
Let's do this, like, so it does make a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does for sure.
And then you tell your friends about it when you have a great experience.
Oh, for sure.
And I was going to ask you a little bit about that. In that first year, how did you market it? What did you really lean on to get your name out there and get your business out there?
Really word of mouth. Yeah. So I tried to spend, from what everyone has said, is spend less on marketing and more on just being more personal with people when they come in. Like I even block off extra time when I spray. I would rather have that extra time for you to answer or for me to answer questions, you to ask those, not feel like I'm just taking your money. I don't want you to feel like you're just in and out and I don't care. So really marketing, I just did word of mouth. I went to nail salons, local salons, offered free spray tans to owners. Like, can I do a pop-up here? Try to get more clients. I would pass out business cards. I reached out to even some like influencers or people who were more highly active on social media, not even followers, because I feel like I used to think that was more important, but it's really not. Yeah. It's more who is engaging with people.
Yeah.
So I would look for, who's engaging on social media, and I'd reach out and, maybe offer like, hey, I can give you a free spray tan if you come in. post about being in here and different things.
Right.
And then I give like discount codes too. So if they have people come in and they can get a discount too from, seeing that post and different things.
Right.
I would say that helped me probably the most.
Yeah, totally.
With just word of mouth. And I feel like once they come in, because there's so many places you can go for a spray tan. And that's what I was telling my husband. You can go anywhere within a few miles, probably in Columbus, and find someone who does spray tanning. But once they come in, they always stay. They don't go anywhere else because of the experience that they have with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you have a beautiful tan. I'm assuming this is a spray tan currently.
Mm-hmm.
And I never gravitated toward them because most everybody that I see with spray tan, I think, looks orange.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really cool. And I would love to hear, without you giving away secrets, I always thought too that I'm a very kind of holistic, simple girl. So the spray tan for me, I felt like they're just spraying them with a bunch of chemicals.
Right, which a lot are.
Yeah. And so I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that on my skin. But I'm interested in hearing that the plant-based, and I saw on your Instagram that you say that it's safe for pregnant women.
It is.
And so I love that. So is it more like henna type in that henna is, not that I'm saying it's the same, but henna's plant-based. And so is that in the same vein that you guys are in, or like the solution?
Probably not.
Okay.
But it would be something kind of similar.
Okay.
But it doesn't have all the harsh chemicals in it like most of them do. It's a more expensive solution.
Got ya.
And with it being plant-based, we test it. It's dermatology tested. It's tested on sensitive skin. And that was huge for me too, because my oldest daughter, she's 14, and everything irritates her skin. Like we have to do all natural everything for her, because if not, she breaks out, gets bumps, different things. And so I was like, she's the first person I want to try this on, because she's going to be the test person too.
She'll tell me if it's really for sensitive people or not.
She loves it. I've never had anyone have any sensitivity to it. And I even tell people too, like, if you have very sensitive skin and you're still worried about it, shoot me a message, give me a call, and you can just pop in and I'll do like a little test spray. Like we can do like a little spot on your back, something different. Yeah. Or I can take we have the mousse, the tanning mousse too in our solution. Yeah. We can rub a little bit of that on in somewhere where no one's going to see it. And then you can see let it develop and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you spray your full body.
Right. So you're not a full hive or a red rash everywhere that you've given yourself. Yeah. That's nice that you do that. I mean, that's especially for those who have really sensitive skin.
Yes. And the teeth whitening is plant-based as well.
That's awesome.
So it's safe if you're pregnant and breastfeeding and stuff as well.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
And there's no sensitivity with it being plant-based.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal because I have very sensitive teeth. I grew up on government insurance and all that. So I feel like I had a lot of work done that was unnecessary. And so now I just have issues with it. And I did the Crest white strips. And I even bought some stuff from the dentist to do at home. And I had to throw them away because they hurt my teeth so bad.
Yeah.
And when before I'd even started my training and all that, Brittany was like, just come in and get a teeth whitening. I promise you, you'll love it. And I was so nervous because I didn't want my teeth to hurt. And
never did.
It was phenomenal.
Nice. Yes. That's awesome.
When we talked prior to this, you talked a little bit about how difficult it is to run a business and also maintain some of your relationships. Can you talk to us about what you had to, I guess, cut out, add in, maneuver when you started this business when it comes to relationships?
Yeah. With a lot of relationships, it was difficult. I would say with friends, it's always, do I get a discount? Do I get it free? Things like that, which is hard when you're first starting. I would love to just give, everyone free stuff all the time, especially for clothes.
This is a business.
But it's a business. And so I feel like learning to say no was a difficult process for me because I'm a people pleaser too. So I don't like to say no. But it's very difficult when you're running a business because it still costs me money to buy it. Right. The product and shipping and just different things because I ordered the solution from her in Florida.
Yeah.
So
you're like, I'm 40,000 in the hole.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I got to make this money back,
Yes. Yeah. So just that part is difficult too because, people will come out of the wood, you didn't even talk to me in 5 years. Yeah. Now you're like, hey, I'm in the business. Can I get a free spray tan?
That feels terrible, doesn't it?
No. So
Yeah.
So I feel like that part was a little bit difficult, but I guess it makes you stronger too with just learning to tell people no.
Setting boundaries too.
It is. It's definitely setting boundaries, which is
staying in your worth.
Yes.
But,
yes.
like, you're taking advantage of me, right? Like, this still costs me money. I haven't seen you in years. What have you done for me lately? You know,
exactly.
And now you're asking me for free stuff just because I have business. I think that the conception out there sometimes is that business owners have unlimited resources and that it doesn't cost you anything if you give it to me for free.
Yes,
that's not true at all.
Yes,
not even a little bit. You know, so. I think good for you for that has to be hard.
It took a while.
Yeah.
It wasn't overnight. It definitely took.
Was there something or somebody? Did your husband be like, "Hey, stop giving these people free things"?
Well, he'll say that for everyone.
Yeah.
He's a money person, so it doesn't even matter now. He's like, "No, we don't do we don't need to do discounts. We don't need to do free stuff just because they're this person or this person." He's like, "You're building a business ultimately."
Yeah.
And if they love you
and support you,
they'll pay for that because you're their person, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I know
they want to support you. They should be paying for it.
Yes, because they're going to pay someone else, or they're going to buy those expensive pair of shoes they want, or, you know, that fancy shirt that they want. Or
so was it him holding that container that helped you develop some of those boundaries?
100%. Yes. Because he is very, like, by the book, you know? A money person for sure, which is great because it balances, you know, keep my whole, like, I do obviously all the accounting and money and everything for my business. I don't have anyone that does that. I keep track of all the finances and cost, and he built a whole Excel program for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
And was like, don't touch any of it. This is where you put money in.
Just put numbers over here, honey.
So each week I fill that out, how many spray tans I had, and he has everything, taxes, savings, cost, re-up money. Like, it just tells me at the bottom where I move money to.
Yeah.
So he's been a good support system for me with doing that. It's definitely been difficult money-wise because I feel like it put more of a burden on him when it's not profitable, you know, because now we're already 40,000 in the hole.
Right.
And the economy sucks. And so people aren't splurging like they used to. And now the cost of groceries and gas and everything is high. So I'm considered a luxury service.
Yeah.
So a lot of people aren't getting that right now. And so just going back and forth each week, like, oh, well, this week I have a lot of clients and it's great. And this week I have 2, you know?
Right.
And so not knowing, I feel like it put more of a struggle on, like, our relationship, just not knowing financial. Because then I feel like he felt like, I'm the man of the house. I have to provide and make sure everyone's taken care of and the bills are paid. So now he's trying to pick up another job or work extra hours or different things. So now we're not seeing each other as much. And, you know, it's...
How did you overcome that?
We're still working on it.
Yeah.
But really, we just had to sit down, and we actually had this discussion recently to where we were just fighting about money so much, but money comes and goes. Like, to me, it's being together and having that time together and different things. I'd rather lose $50 and have that time, you know, those couple hours as a family together in the evening.
Right.
But his side of it is like, we need that $50. You know, it sucks. And this is what we have to go through sometimes because we need that money to pay our bills next month or whatever. So I feel like that part was difficult, but we were arguing about it so much that we just had to sit down recently, and I was like, okay, listen, we've overcome everything, you know, trial and error. We've been together forever. We went through all the hard shit and all the good stuff and whatever. We've literally gone through all of our life events together. We grew up together.
Yeah.
But we are fighting so much about it. It's making me feel like hard feelings almost towards him over just the financial part of it. Has been a struggle. Mm-hmm. And I see it from his point too, because he's trying to work extra and he's trying to compensate all the extra that I'm not, you know, when it's not busy. And some weeks it's great and some weeks it's not.
Yeah.
So we kind of discussed it, and I was like, either we have to just be nice to each other, even when we don't have the finances, you know, which he's not a mean person, but just, you know.
Yeah, just those are just stressful times.
We get irritated with each other over it. And so
it causes stress. It does. Is, you know, the response to stress is real.
Yes.
Yeah. How can we manage the stress without being mean to one another?
Exactly. So we just kind of sat down and had that discussion recently. And I was like, if it is becoming too much, I'll quit it. Like, I'll walk away because it's more important for us to have a good, healthy relationship. I never want nothing to interfere with that.
Right.
Because we're so good together.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I would never want you to walk away from your dream. You know, honestly, that's not what he wants. So
yeah,
I'm just working harder on the marketing part of things. And I'm like, it's so hard to just get people in, you know, because there's so many choices of places to go.
Right.
Yeah. But once they come, they'll stay. It's just getting them in ultimately. So I started doing like free mini contour, and that helped a little bit because we do full body contouring too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which a lot of places don't do. So we can do like contouring on your face and do one shade darker than whatever solution that you're getting. So if you get medium, I would go medium dark with the contour.
That's such a good thing to know. I didn't know you did that because
abs, collarbone, make your boobs look bigger.
Next time that you have a competition.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, like on TikTok, I saw people would do like the foam, like you can buy in the store tan or do the contouring. And I was like, my ass would look like a clown if I tried doing this on myself. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do any makeup like that. So I've always thought like I would totally do that if I knew someone who could do that to me. You know what I mean? Because then you have to see your makeup. You just wake up, you're like, wow, fresh face.
Yeah, it's like no makeup look.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Great. And I have a lot of people who get just the face, the contour. They just want the face contour.
Yeah.
And they'll pop in.
So you do full body, you do the face contour, teeth whitening, anything else, like business that you want to promote that you do at your salon?
I mean, I would say I do the most spray tanning, obviously. The teeth whitening lasts about 6 to 8 months. So
It
takes a little bit longer. But we do have like a aftercare kit too that we send home with people with the teeth whitening. So it's plant-based. It takes about an hour and a half to do when you come in. Yeah. You sit under a red blue light. The red kind of helps with your gums and stuff to not feel irritated too when you're doing your processing. And then you lighten anywhere from 4 to 10 shades. So on my Instagram, any of the pictures that I have on there, the teeth whitening is just from one session.
Wow. That's awesome.
And no one has sensitivity to it, which is amazing. It lasts 6 to 8 months. And then we send home a little aftercare kit. And then we do like a teeth whitening foam. You can use once or twice a week with your toothpaste or just on your toothbrush in general. And it helps keep all the stains gone too.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Also, I was going to ask, so I know your salon started in Sawmill, or is it still over by Sawmill?
Oh, no. So I started on Sawmill by Flanagan's area with a 1-room suite.
Yeah.
I was over there for a little over a year, and then I met a girl named Julie. She does medical aesthetics, Botox, lip flips, all the things, IV hydration. And we kind of linked up and started doing what we would call Glowtox parties. We do Botox and spray tans. We would pop up at people's houses, do events, things like that. And then she was looking for a space. I just kind of wanted to have more space because I was doing everything in one little room. And then she was friends with a girl named Emily who did hair, extensions, blowouts, and her lease was actually up. So we all kind of went together on a space in Upper Arlington. We're off of Zollinger over by like the Giant Eagle area.
Nice.
So we have a whole big space together. So we have Julie and Emily and me that's in there. So now I have
amazing.
Way extra space in there. We have 2 rooms.
I have lots of rooms. Things happening there then.
Yes. And then we have clients who love it because it's kind of a one-stop shop. They can come in.
Yeah.
Kind of do all the services
feed of each other's clientele, right? Like they might not find you.
Yes.
They're coming for this service, but then they're like, oh, you should totally go over here and see her.
Exactly. We can cross market.
How has it been being able to share like that business with other women?
It's been a lot of fun.
It's great.
I'm glad that I found them because they're just we're so much alike in our business aspects of things.
Yeah.
Which has been phenomenal because we all want to grow ultimately together. We do events. We were actually just talking about doing another event. We had all of our local favorite shops come in. So any like local small businesses that wanted to join, they could come in, set up, sell their services, products, different things. People could come in and kind of shop around. We had like a hot chocolate bar and with Kahlua if you wanted to add some and just all the fun things, little snacks. So it's fun to have a bigger space with women who kind of have the same vision as you with growing your business.
Do you guys still do like remote parties? Like we pop up, do spray tan, stuff like that?
I haven't as much. I feel like some of them are great and some were just not beneficial. And so I feel like I'm very picky on where I do them at now.
Yeah.
Because marketing for the event is huge. And I feel like a lot of places don't market their events very well. So I would, work all day and then go and pop up somewhere for an event and then maybe spray tan one person.
Yeah.
And for me, it just wasn't worth spending the time away from my kids to do that.
Totally.
Right.
So I'm more picky now. I will do them.
Yeah.
I actually was just thinking about doing more like bridal parties and things for weddings too, doing like wedding packages.
Yeah.
To go in and to someone's house to do bridal parties. But I'm more picky on when I
making
choose
sure
to do them.
One person I really love, she stopped spray tanning, so that's why I don't go to her anymore. But we did a spray tan party at my apartment. She set up her tent like up in my bathroom area. It was so wonderful because she said, hey, I'm only coming if you have X amount of people.
Yes.
So then we got more than that. And then we all just hung out and I read tarot cards for everybody. And we had a great time. We just sent one person up after the other to get spray tan. And this way she came in knowing exactly how many people and it was like worth her time. And so I totally can see how you'd want to make sure it was worthwhile.
Right. So. I used to have a friend that she actually moved to Michigan. But I would go to her house and I would do pop-ups and she would have a lot of her girlfriends come over and she had like snacks and wine. And I would just spray tan. We would all hang out. It was more of like, like you said, just some girl time and having fun.
Totally.
Bridal parties would be the greatest thing. I would think that every bridal party would be like, sign us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a great thing. You got a little tan.
Yeah.
Everybody looks their best for the pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the hardest part when I was starting to is why I limited it more because it was just me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
And it was just I didn't want to ultimately get burnt out.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just, taking too much of my time.
Yeah.
So now having someone else too, I'll be able to do a little bit more like, hey, can you cover the shop? And then I will go and do these bridal parties or just different things. It's not working 9-10 hours spray tanning and then going.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
because the business doesn't stop just
it doesn't.
When you're, then you have to do your finances and you have to do the banking and you have to do the, I saw your Instagram where you were like, it's 35 degrees and I'm at a car wash spraying out my tents, it's not glamorous all the time.
It's not.
Sometimes it's hard work and you're like, wow, I didn't anticipate this part of it.
Yeah.
When I was like,
show that too.
Owner,
Yeah, that's
great that you do show that. Yeah, I think it's really important. For people.
I started to a little more because I feel like when I first started, there was a hard line of, I'm an outgoing person. Like I said, I'm more of an open book too with people, but I feel like a lot of people are like, no, you can't do that or you can't say this because you own a business or that whole mindset, like we were talking about at the beginning of this is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do.
Right.
And so at first I really limited what I said and what I did and different things. But now I'm like, I'm just me. People come in for me.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and probably find, good service, but people ultimately come in for the person too. And I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
And I will find that clientele that is meant for me. And
totally.
if they're not, they'll go somewhere else and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But so I've been a little more open with just like, I'm not perfect. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes,
right.
Some days I'm tired and I don't want to be at work. And some days, it's amazing. But I try to show all of the aspects too. Like I've had days where I go to work and I dump a whole thing of solution all down me, and and all over the floor. And I'm like, just showing those things because that's just life. That's just what happens. I'm just being more vulnerable, I guess, with people because it's relatable. People want to be able to relate to you.
Absolutely.
And showing my flaws. Like I just posted, I actually had it done about a year ago, but a picture of me just it almost looked like a one-piece bikini.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, when I looked at it, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to post that. Yeah. But then I'm like, no, because someone might have that same body type that they feel insecure or different things. And we're all built differently.
I love that about your social media, though, that you're a mom and you're not. You seem to be very body positive about yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm okay to show it, and I don't care what you think.
Yes.
I like that.
Everyone should feel. And it's hard being a woman because you're so judged. It doesn't matter, what size you are, what hair color. Someone's always going to have something to say.
And it's the bikini where you were walking down the hallway, right? In the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. I thought
I loved it. Yeah. And, I struggle with body image like everyone else. And it's like, you might be the ideal body type for someone else. But it's like, that's exactly what I want to look like.
Exactly.
So.
And that's why I try to, even my social media, I put everybody on.
Yeah.
It's not just, this is what, people want to see. Because I hate looking at certain Instagrams where it's all just a specific type of person, Like, no, we're going to put every body size, anyone who comes into me, I try to post all their pictures that they send to me. I'm like, come on, like send them to me. Don't feel insecure. And even our, like little quote is like instilling body positivity one spray at a time.
I love that.
I always want people to feel confident and
I love that.
Good about themselves.
Well, we will make sure we tag your Instagram account, your all your socials, your website, and then where you're located in this in the show notes so that people can easily find you.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, if you want to talk to like woman-wise that really inspired you?
I would say Brittany.
Brittany.
The one that trained me.
Yeah.
I definitely took a lot from her, and I still talk to her all the time. Like, she's in Florida, she's got 4 locations in Florida.
She's killing it.
She's killing it out there. And, at any time of the day, I can reach out to her, any questions, anything I've ever asked. I've never felt like a burden to her, or like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
And even when she comes back into town now, she'll be like, hey, is there anything new, anything you are struggling with, just anything you need help with? She's always been like inspiring to me, and just watching her grow and her story just motivates me more as a business owner in person.
That's awesome. So we will also link her business so the people that aren't in Ohio.
Yeah,
for locations.
Yeah, we definitely do that for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, I even send clients there. If they're going to Florida and they're like, oh, I'm like,
go look her up.
Exactly.
Get it while you're down there.
It's amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and telling your story. I think so many, and being vulnerable to share things like, how much your business started. Like, I think people don't even understand sometimes what it's only a few pieces of equipment. It won't be that much. And then you're like, no, this is a lot. So thank you for being vulnerable enough to share that and to share your story and continue doing all the great work.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in.
Remember to give us a follow on YouTube and on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio.
Radio.
Yep. So until next time.
See you guys. Love you.